Stop screaming at a fake screen. Rewire your brain with the Recognize and Disengage technique.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive. The topic we're exploring today is, without a doubt, the ultimate brain rewiring ultimate hack. We're discussing how to break out of our mind's rigid patterns and say goodbye once and for all to the inner friction and suffering of daily life. The core insights here come from a compelling Dhamma talk shared by the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. Let's skip the pleasantries and jump straight into the good stuff, so you can master this incredible technique for mental reshaping. To start, let me ask a question that might sound a bit ridiculous. Would you ever get into a physical fight with a television screen in real life? Think about it. If someone were sitting properly in front of a TV, sobbing uncontrollably one moment and gnashing their teeth in rage the next, that fictitious characters on the screen, completely forgetting that those people and events aren't real at all, you'd look at them and think, good grief, have they lost their mind? That's absurd, right? But if you examine it closely, that exact absurdity is a mirror image of our daily lives. The talk lays it out crystal clear. This is the precise difference between delusion and wisdom. In real life, we constantly make the mistake of weeping and raging at the TV screen. We love taking the arbitrary labels and definitions our minds slap onto things, treating them as absolute reality, and then fighting, shouting, panicking, and losing sleep over what were illusions to begin with. What does a mind filled with true wisdom look like? It observes peacefully, completely immune to getting stuck on these illusions. It all comes down to the old saying, trouble doesn't exist on its own, foolish people create it for themselves. The world we inhabit is inherently neutral and peaceful. Where are these absolute rights and wrongs? The everyday drama, the dog-eat-dog conflicts, and the rigid notions of good versus bad that we cling to so fiercely are nothing more than a massive collection of labels we forcefully project onto a neutral world. The science behind labels and illusions. We tend to believe that seeing is believing. But how does modern science explain human perception? From a physics perspective, there is no intrinsic red or blue existing out in the world. What actually exists? Merely light waves of different frequencies. These invisible, intangible light waves enter your eyes. The receptors gather the data and transmit it to your brain. And then click, your brain synthesizes a signal and slaps the label color onto it. The vibrant colors you see right now are essentially processed products of your brain. And guess what? This scientific discovery aligns seamlessly with the wisdom in the Diamond Sutra. The famous line from the text, what the Buddha calls a speck of dust is not truly a speck of dust. It is merely named a speck of dust, is talking about this exact principle. A speck of dust isn't a speck of dust in an absolute sense. It is simply what we temporarily call it at this stage. This is identical to the light wave theory. Our definitions of everything are ultimately temporary labels, just names, never absolute truths. However, if we fail to see through this illusion, serious trouble follows. The consequences of taking our self-made labels as reality are terrifying. We lock ourselves into relentless debates over right and wrong, battling to the death over concepts like my people versus your people, squandering precious mental energy on things that are ultimately void. Endless conflicts with colleagues and family members over brain-spun labels are, at their core, a tragic form of self-destruction. Why precepts are true freedom. Mention the word precepts or rules, and many people immediately think of restrictive shackles. Yet a truly awakened person adheres to precepts with pure joy. Through great wisdom, they see that precepts are not limitations at all, they are protective talismans for leaving suffering behind and attaining peace. Breaking a precept simply means you are personally planting the seeds of your own future suffering right in the present moment. Take a grounded, real-world example, habitual lying. Do you think the retribution for lying is some abstract punishment handed down by the heavens? Not at all. It follows a very realistic physical law. Step E. You habituate yourself to spouting lies. Step R. Everyone stops believing you, and your credibility goes completely bankrupt. Step 3. You become entirely isolated. At that point, even if you are genuinely starving and begging for food, people will just assume you're a scammer. Who can endure that kind of concrete suffering? Thus, precepts are actually our greatest and most fundamental protection. Psi, the ultimate mind rewiring technique. When facing countless afflictions, The teacher from the Buddhist Society of Western Australia offered a direct forward strategy: recognize illusion. Immediately disengage. When you fully realize that the arguments, the anger, and the squabbles over who is right or wrong in front of you are all illusions and labels colliding inside the mind, you only need to do one thing: step back immediately. There is no need for complex meditation sessions or elaborate methods. Know it's false, and walk away right then and there. It is that simple and direct. Many people think awakening sounds profoundly mysterious. In truth, leaving illusion behind is awakening. True clarity means being able to lay down those artificial, trashy labels, leaving behind the self-directed dramas and tragedies we stage in our own heads, and refusing to torment ourselves for the sake of empty shadows. That alone is extraordinary. Of course, there are times when our minds get stuck in a rut and insist on going down a rabbit hole. What do we do then? Take the initiative and shift your focus. Stop fixating on those meaningless labels. Turn instead to observing the true laws of reality. Align your words and actions with actual conditions. Reflect on your inner wisdom, and do things that bring genuine, grounded happiness. 4. Transforming adversity into joy. The teacher shared a funny yet painfully relatable example to illustrate our typical reactive behavior. Someone walks up and kicks you twice for no reason. Lacking awareness, you instantly explode with rage and kick them right back. A mutual brawl ensues. In the most tragic twist, you think you won and vented your anger, only to be taken to the hospital where you hand over all your hard-earned money for medical bills. What was the point? Counterattacking with hatred usually results in mutual destruction. Switching to the wisdom perspective of the Diamond Sutra, however, changes the narrative completely. The sutra notes that if someone holds you in contempt or mistreats you, it is actually due to your past karma that should have brought severe suffering. But because this person is mistreating you now, your past negative karma is cleared and eradicated. In other words, by enduring a tiny bit of unfairness today, you are actually deflecting a massive catastrophe in your future. Following this logic, you arrive at a deeply counterintuitive yet profound conclusion: you should actually feel grateful toward the person who kicked you. When a truly awakened person encounters unfair treatment, instead of flying into a rage, they feel a quiet joy inside. Their mind is clear: my karmic debt has just been cleared, and I am one step further from future suffering. When you truly grasp this, how could you possibly suffer? You will be filled with gratitude instead. Ultimately, we must accept one reality: you cannot control what labels others choose to stick in their own minds. If others insist on fighting everywhere and destroying themselves, that is their choice, let them be. Our job is to protect ourselves first, ensuring our own hearts remain peaceful and at ease. Don't drag other people's suffering and messes onto your own shoulders. Only when you meet someone who is genuinely willing to listen and trust you should you quietly share this wisdom of leaving suffering behind. Sorting out your own inner world first, that is the smartest way to benefit both yourself and others. Now that we've covered all this, here is a question to ponder the next time you feel anxious, furious, or dragged into the mud of interpersonal drama. Pause and ask yourself, am I shouting at a fake TV screen again? Are you ready to step away from this phantom battle? Toss out those worn-out labels, and reclaim the peace that was always yours. Remember, the remote control had been in your hand all along. You can choose to turn it off at any moment.